Hey, let's get started.
And I had to go and fix it Monday.
It is 3 p.m. Thursday, November 17th, 2022. Wilson County Commissioners Court special meeting is now in session. If y'all would join me in reciting the Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
welcome. We are here for main thing is agenda item number 2, which is Richard L. Jackson County Judge canvass votes for the November 8th, 2022 general election. And we have our auditor working on that.
Yes. So, Judge, what I'm going to do, I have spot checked all of the numbers. I'm going to go ahead and, for transparency purposes, go ahead and total tally the ones for our local elections. Which the first one is for Justice of the Peace Precinct 1. Okay, for Jared Shaw, I have a total in box 101 of 1,352. For Johnny Villarreal, I have box 101 for 666. Box 102, Jared Shaw, 361. Johnny Villarreal, box 102 is 532. Box 103, Jared Shaw, 577. Johnny Villarreal, 357. And box 104, Jared Shaw, 492. Johnny Villarreal, 202. That brings a total Jared Shaw, 2,782. Johnny Villarreal, 1,757. Did you want me to go through any of the other specifics? I've gone through all of them and everything matches, so.
That would be okay with me. I mean, anybody got any?
Commissioners?
The rest of it is pretty wide.
Yeah. The only other one, unless it's not county, but it's the school board, if you guys want to need independent.
Have you got those?
I do have them. I believe it's box
Brenda,
102
103, 104,
and 102.
20, no, excuse me, the school?
202,
206, and 207. Just those three boxes.
202, 206,
102,
102, got it.
206,
Uh-huh.
and 207. It was just the District 6, so that was the only three
District
boxes.
6, yes,
expensive,
ma'am. Judge, do you want me to go through the school board for District 6?
If you've got it, if you can get to it easily enough.
Yeah, I have it here. All right. Okay, box 102 for single member district, place 6 for Floresville ISD. Craig Moots, 44. Angela Morales Turner, 100. Elena Berlanga, 21.
What is the next box? What's that?
206.
On your last page of 206.
All right, box 206, Craig Moots, 1. Angela Morales Turner, 8. Elena Berlanga, 7. And then your last box is 207. Just page 27. Craig Moots, 366. Angela Morales Turner, 268. And Elena Berlanga, 248. Your totals. Craig Moots, 411. Angela Morales Turner, 376. Elena Berlanga, 276. So unless you have any other questions?
I'm going to take a motion to accept the canvas of votes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the canvas of the votes.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Fowle, second by Commissioner Blow, we approve the canvas of the votes. Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, for the record, Commissioner Precinct 4, Larry Wiley is absent. And now we're moving on to agenda item number 3, Richard L. Jackson County Judge, discuss and possible action on the employee handbook. Mr. Caldwell, you have anything you'd like to say?
Well, I guess I do, but the only thing I was going to add to this was, I don't know, I didn't exactly understand what the item was about. Was it to potentially ratify or approve the employee handbook today?
Okay, we're not going to approach this because I was asked by the person that put it on the agenda for next Monday,
Okay.
or wanted it on the agenda for next Monday. Let's do it next Monday.
Well, what is the, if you don't mind me asking, Judge, because I'm somewhat confused, and I'll be just as confused on next Monday.
Okay.
What is the Commissioner's Court contemplating on this item? Are y'all contemplating passing the budget?
We were having, it was brought to me, we're having a discussion about the handbook.
Okay.
And so I added impossible action just in case, which I doubt very seriously if it's going to be any time soon that anybody is agreeable on what's going to go into it.
Well, I'm not on the committee, and I haven't in-depth reviewed the handbook that's been presented yet, but the small amount that I did take a look at, I think possibly isn't ready to be presented to the commissioners for action, or if it is, it would probably have to be reviewed, or would likely want to be reviewed by our new commissioners court after January. So I guess if I was going to make a recommendation to the court, I would say, is this an item that y'all just are dead set on taking up in 2022?
I'm not, I had the same question about
I'm
it you
feeling you're
had.
not. You're ready to go fishing.
Three of the now standing Commissioners Court members aren't going to be here
Yes, sir.
after the first of the year.
Well, this is, for what it's worth, you know, the county attorney's opinion on it is I have a few more questions I'd like to get with the committee on. And also, I'd also like to cross-communicate with a different committee, our health insurance committee, about some things. And me and the auditor both have some questions about. So it would be my recommendation to the court to possibly, you know, wait until January, or at least wait and let the new commissioners take this up. And the committee and myself and Ms. Trevino can maybe discuss some of the concerns, the small things that we noted.
I'm good with that, but two of y'all are going to be here next year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that.
And as a committee, I know we have several committee members in attendance, and it's getting holiday time as well. But is the committee open to that as well? So we maybe sit down and talk?
Absolutely.
So I am on the committee, and when it was sent out to all of the commissioners and the judge, we heard there was not good feedback from it. So I attempted to schedule another meeting to avoid all of this. But our chairman did not respond to me. So I have no problem. I want to make sure it's right for our county employees and our elected officials. That way, you know, we have something to follow that actually means something.
I think if I understand your position on it, me and you've talked about it a little bit too. I kind of glossed over a few of the issues I'd like to talk about with you, but yeah, I think it probably, we don't want to rush into it, because if you rush into something, you get a product that potentially we have to reevaluate sooner. The last one, you know, has been in place since 16. It hasn't been perfect by any means, but I definitely think that the current product is good. But there are a few things I wasn't asked, but I got a big mouth, so I'll tell people even though I haven't been asked. I saw a few things on it that I'd like to discuss with the committee, but again, I think Ms. Trevino would like to discuss a few things too.
Yeah, I mean, with respect, I'd like to, you know, a little bit more time. There are some things in there that may have some financial impact to the county's budget. And so I have a few questions as well, just for clarification purposes on what the meaning or understanding is behind the proposed handbook. So I don't know that we would have all those answers by Monday anyway if we were to schedule and have a meeting to discuss it on Monday.
So do we want to schedule another meeting with the
Committee, sounds like what we need to do.
Sure,
That's what
if you
he's-
like.
That's what
he's
I
requesting.
would.
And I don't mind meeting with the committee individually, or members of the committee who just want to come.
Well, I think it would be
Be
better,
better
all,
to-
everybody,
for everybody
to
to meet
everybody doing
together,
the same
don't
thing.
you?
I concur. I'm just thinking of the holidays, you know, getting folks all in the same room is not as easy.
We can,
Unless y'all call a
I don't-
special meeting, then we all show up.
And I don't mind emailing my questions. I just have, you know, need to go through it to kind of line by line as related to overtime, health insurance, that kind
I
of stuff.
prefer that we meet in person.
Yeah.
I agree.
and we can do that, I can send something out this afternoon, see if we can get a meeting, what everybody's availability is the week after Thanksgiving.
Okay, that'd be fine by me, sir. I do agree, when I thought about it, I wasn't getting involved until a few things occurred to me that, not based upon your product either. I'm not even saying there's any problems with it. I'm just saying, I want to make sure that I advise the committee and Commissioners Court the full spectrum of consequences of certain things, the costs. I mean, we may save money on this hand and incur costs on this hand that I saw and mentioned to Mr. Trevino and the judge. We can discuss that. I'd like to tell the board about it, committee.
So if anybody else has any concerns, can everybody email them to one person? That way we can address them as we go back through it. Maybe email them to Jalen.
I took down the numbers. I had a whole page of concerns. I don't know, I get tired.
Never mind, I don't want
Can people who aren't on the committee email someone with their concerns about it? Because I know that there's a strong concern within the employees that aren't on the committees. They have a very valid concern and are concerned with the retention and everything for employees. It affects more than just the committees.
Well, Ms. Key, I've been listening all day to the concerns.
With you.
I walked in not expecting it, but I understand that the
Employees' concerns aren't necessarily, they're more on, on the practical level of their day-to-day. Some of the stuff I've heard today, I've said to several folks, is premature. I think that what y'all have heard isn't what the intent is, or it's not what the document says, and it doesn't work like that anyways. Even the employment handbook wouldn't establish some of these concerns. So, yeah.
But that's where the rumor mill is starting, and that's where things are causing a negative atmosphere in the county, which we want to avoid.
No, I understand. I can't speak for your boss, ma'am, but I've
No,
got
my
a
boss is great.
more policy. Anybody can email me.
Put that on record, Eva, did you get?
But I would encourage you to email your department head.
I know your department head in particular will listen to your concerns. The sheriff, not so much.
May I want to announce who the committee members are so that everybody knows?
Why don't you announce who the committee members are? I might miss one.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what she's gonna announce.
Who, does anybody have a list of who is on the handbook committee?
Yes. Myself, Commissioner Perdola, Ms. Palashik. Ms.
Barnett.
I'm sorry. Palashik Barnett, excuse me. Ms. Bodiford, Nikki Storr, and the sheriff.
And
And Christina.
Christine.
I think
Well, I
that
can tell
having,
one thing, by the appearance of the room here, the rumor mill sure works.
It's causing a negative atmosphere.
Judge, I
in the
would
county.
recommend that we get the county attorney and the auditor, at least meet with them one time, to hear some of their concerns or whatever they have, what it may be, before it even gets back to the court.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to
Because
talk
you're
to
our
the committee,
constituents.
and I haven't, because y'all haven't asked me, but I would like to address some of the stuff that I saw, because I don't think the working document is wrong. I just think we need to tinker with the language a little bit to give y'all to give them a comfort level, and to give y'all to give the department heads the ability, the latitude to manage their departments and to apply the benefits.
So is anybody going to tell us what what it is that what the committee's going to talk about that?
Well, I don't think they have a final product yet,
Okay.
ma'am, but I will tell you that the concerns that people came to me today with, and literally this was not no one talked to me yesterday. I was like, well, okay, I understand your concerns, but those aren't the concerns that the committee's even talking about. Those are what y'all think could potentially happen, later on, but the handbook itself doesn't necessarily cause these concerns to happen, if that makes any sense.
That's what I mean, what can we put down? Because we don't even, what we hear the concerns are, and you're asking us to email or whatever, but what do we know to email if we don't know what you're talking about?
Well, ma'am, I think you know what your concerns are that got you in this meeting.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, and
Yes.
I'll sum it up, and I can't speak for everyone in this room,
But modification or reduction in benefits, would everybody nod their head if that's accurate?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's not what the handbook does. Okay, that is something that requires budgeting. That is something that requires the Commissioners Court to do that on an annual basis. And I will tell y'all all this, the handbook itself doesn't control that. The budget every year does, and some things that are benefits of all of our employment can be adjusted annually by Commissioners Court. Some things potentially could be required to be adjusted if we had weren't able to afford them. But I'm not talking about anything in particular, except a lot of folks are thinking, oh no, we're cutting benefits. No, ma'am. That is not what's going on.
Could you clarify that this can't be adjusted in this fiscal year? We've already set the budget, we can't really,
Theoretically, we don't like to do mid-year adjustments, ma'am.
and it normally doesn't happen.
Typically, an
Emergency scenario, but because that word emergency factors into that, if something happened, theoretically, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm going to give you a lawyer answer on that.
Yes, I know, but,
I'll
I
give
mean,
you all.
the elephant in the room is that they're going to change the benefits for retirees and all of that. That is something that has got everybody very up in arms, right, in my opinion, who will not benefit from it, rightfully so.
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is one of the attractions to Wilson County, and so we have multiple people upset, concerned, myself incredibly upset because it affects the people that I care about, which are sitting right back here, and these people too. But the rumor mill has gotten to a point that it wants to be, that they want to pull stuff from people and make it, or this isn't an attractive county to work for, and that's something that needs to be addressed to the Commissioner's Court, and that is going to help make this decision.
So that's why.
I can make a comment on
Yes, sir, go ahead.
what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Before we even talked about doing a new handbook,
Mm-hmm.
that was, people were talking about that. The commissioners were talking in different, we had a discussion about that.
And people have been saying it's been talked
But
about.
that, nobody else knew it but whoever was talking.
Yes,
Until they got to
well,
the
and it's
handbook
out
and people, more people found out about it or learned about it, and more people.
And it's now
spread
out,
that.
spread throughout
Okay.
the whole
But I-
county.
But here's another thing, don't react on anything, it's a rumor. Let's try to get the truth, let's, don't just hear
that's what
something and
That's
react.
why we're here.
This is why.
But I would
the
also,
majority-
just for knowledge and clarification, if you're comparing your current policy manual, which you should all have a copy of, compared to the draft that's been presented, that while the verbiage may be different, the overall result is the same, which gives Commissioners Court the authority to decide from year over year what those benefits are going to be. And that has not changed from the one from 2016 to the one that's current or being presented now. So I just want to make sure and clarify that there's not anything new being added. It's just the verbiage is just a little bit different, which is something that we're going to look at and address, but it hasn't changed in since 2016. So it's been in there these entire years, and it's up to Commissioners Court every year to decide how they're going to move forward with those types of
Well,
benefits.
something started this
Mhm.
and has people
Yeah.
upset, rightfully so.
I'm like, what started it? Because I literally, I had not heard this until today.
I'd heard rumblings without anything specific, but today it was like everybody all of a sudden specifically thought this handbook that they were going to look at today reduces benefits for retirees, it cuts out longevity pay. Now, I haven't looked at the whole thing, I didn't. But I did look real quick at the retiree stuff, and the stuff in 2016 gives Commissioners Court more authority to restrict that or modify that than the one in the new one.
And in 2016, I couldn't find anybody, if you read that was in the committee, anything else, have you read the handbook, what do you think about it? It caused me to have to at least try to read it, because nobody took interest. This is a surprise to me. Like I said, in 2016, when we adopted a new handbook,
So
okay, we got a new handbook.
So what people are concerned about is then being changed without it being verbalized and everyone is aware of what's going on. From what I've been told, that in the committee it was discussed how to minimize the cost for retirees and benefits. Someone on the committee can confirm or deny that. So that is one of the things there's been multiple options, either just pull it from people, and you're saying that's not in the handbook? That's not in
No,
the
what I'm saying is that it didn't change from 2016. So they could have made the decision in 2017, 18, 19, 20, 22 to modify the benefits. That has not changed.
Every budget, the benefits can be reevaluated.
Right.
You're right, reevaluated.
But once a retiree though, that's a contract
Well,
between a
if you
retiree.
recall, was last year we upped the retiree,
We gave them an
yeah,
increase.
the pay increase, yeah.
But,
And so that, and
but
that's,
once-
again, that's a budget issue, and that's done.
Yeah.
But when,
But for next year's budget, it'll be based
on
off
what-
of this
yeah.
year, and then
So,
we'll look at whatever
to
else.
minimize some of the rumor mill, if a retiree retires, I retired from the county today. That's a contract between me and the county that I retire, that I retain my benefits till age 65. Am I wrong to assume that? Because
Yes,
that is-
it
Yes.
would be absolutely wrong. to
You are
assume
wrong to
that.
assume that because the employee handbook says the commissioner's court
Yeah.
has the authority from year to year to modify that as decided by the
And,
So
county.
that's where the
Every
concern
employment
is.
handbook states
Right,
that there
but
is
it's been
nothing
in there,
in
that's
this
what I'm
to be
saying, it's
construed
been
as
in there
contract.
for so long.
Ultimately, that's not up to the committee.
It's up
Correct.
to the commissioners, correct.
Correct.
So it's our commissioners that we need
But it
to.
wouldn't be up to I don't think
The commissioners, that's not an issue they're tracking right now. That's an
No.
issue they'll be tracking budget time.
Correct.
Okay? These are things that have to,
Today,
yes, ma'am. You've been with the county a little bit, and your insurance has had changes from year to year. They had to make those changes because of
Because of budgetary.
money issues.
And the handbook can be changed, of course, we've changed it a few times in the last few years by a vote from the Commissioner's Court. Nikki?
If I could just say real quickly, the manual is more in policies other than just benefits. We discussed policies on how to do things, not how it would affect people, if that helps them.
Yeah, there are specific things in there that all county officials have to follow, like vacation, how we calculate leave for our employees, things like that. And then there are very general things in there related to like rules, dress code, things like that that may not work. Dress code or hours, general hours of operation may not work for the tax assessor's office like it does for the sheriff's office. We are a county that is considered strictly at will. We don't have a civil service system. The employment handbook is not a contract in any way you can rely upon, but it's provided to the benefit for the employees to kind of give you a baseline of your expectations, our expectations of our employees, and the employee's expectation of us. They know how much vacation they accrue. They know how much longevity pay they will get, things like that. But theoretically, if it was related to money, Commissioner's Court does have the ability, or sometimes the distasteful task of having to modify things because we just do not have the money. And that handbook, ma'am, is not going to be something that you can rely upon like you can put your hand on the Bible. But they're not here to take things away in the handbook. That's not the impression I'm getting. That's not what my concerns are about.
But that's what the concern is, that's why we're here. in case you call.
Yes, ma'am. I know it is.
Yeah, and I know you've got a call, and it just, that is what the concern is. And so the constituents that we do vote for that live in the county, that's what we want you to know.
So, speaking from me just being a county employee and not an elected official, and I think most of the people in this room, they're hearing that somebody wants to take away longevity pay, somebody wants to take away the retirees. Of course, that's not something that the committee can vote on, but we as a committee need to make sure it's written the right way in the book, and that's what we attempted to do. We were asking to get it approved this year, but a lot of the committee members don't agree with both of those things. We've said that from the beginning. And so some people feel as this may be a way of somebody waiting to go around, to see what our new court will do, to see if they can convince them of that.
Well, everything I looked at on it, I discussed it. There's the quasi-permissive nature of the document in county government because elected retain autonomy.
And ultimately, nothing would be preventing the new Commissioners Court from taking it up immediately. So,
And it would have to be an agenda item in order to do that, correct?
Well, everything we do is.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you're,
They could not take up business
So,
if it's not on the agenda.
that's what you need to watch for. If you see an agenda item pertaining to that, that's when everybody needs to show up to express your concerns.
So we'll have a lot more people than Commissioner Bell.
I'm
like
gonna
to
let them come
know-
out with a finished product first.
I would like to know if any of the commissioners has brought that up, that they want to take away the longevity pay and change it. That's what I want to know, is if anybody, I know we're not changing it as of right now, but I want to know if any of our commissioners has actually brought that up.
Is that on the table?
Yeah, well, it was discussed in the meetings, yes. Very briefly on that. We didn't have a long, detailed discussion about it, just as one of the options, how are we going to handle these things?
But in the proposed
handbook,
nothing's
there's
changed.
no change.
So this wouldn't be in this meeting, so what meeting do we need to look for?
But I
It
think-
would,
but I
it would be
think-
at budget time.
But I still think that that you're missing the point. Even if it's in the employee handbook as stated, it says right there longevity is going to be paid at $100 per year, blah, blah, blah. And it says, at the discretion of the Commissioners Court based on finances or at budget time, if we're not able to do it, the commissioners can vote to modify that. That's not going to change, and your employee handbook is not going to weigh as heavily on your concerns, because at the end of the day, the court has the authority to modify any of that
Right, and I
throughout
get that.
at budget time. It's
I
basically
get
what
that.
I'm
I
talking
just want to
about.
know
Yeah.
if they've already talked about
Yeah,
it.
I
Because
believe
I
they
know
have.
that it can be
Yes.
changed.
Yeah.
Okay, I can
But I want to know if it's
stop
been
some
brought
of
up.
this. Okay, this is a conversation that I've probably had 8 times because I've been here 8 years. Okay, and it covers a lot of what you're talking about. There's been discussions of longevity pay. There's been discussions of insurance for the retirees. It hasn't been the whole 8 years, but we've talked about it times, and there has been discussion about employees absorbing some of the cost of the insurance, of some of the premium. Now that's all, yes, that's probably been talked about every year. It's not new. So we're not gonna do something, or at least not for the next 40 days. Something that had never happened before. I can't speak for the next Commissioners Court because it's gonna be 60% new.
So would it be fair to say that if and when those issues do arise, it will be made public so that these
It's gonna be on the
employees-
agenda. The agenda has to be posted. The whole county
Yes.
is gonna know about it. And like Don said, just keep an eye on the agenda. If you see something there you wanna voice your concern about,
And I would say that most of those are probably going to be done, if they are going to be done, would be done during budget season. Because that is when that's going to affect the new fiscal year.
because insurance is a big expense for the county.
well, another thing I would point out, there's another factor to this. Like you, Victoria, you have someone sitting right next to you who is working annually, every budget season, she's working to get the best benefits she can for her employees. Okay? This sheriff has done that in the past 2 years. That tax assessor has done it in the 6 I've worked with her. I've done it too. No, I'm just kidding, I have done it too. Every elected does it, okay? And that is the first line where we're keeping everyone in the loop about what these proposals might be. This isn't something you all have to worry about, that you gotta be watching the agendas get posted every 2 weeks to figure out if this is the week that Commissioners Court's gonna pull a fast one on you. They're not trying to pull fast ones on you. This involves money. They don't get to give it to you very quickly, and they don't get to take it away from you very quickly. But we all understand, every elected that works here understands that we don't have a lot of money and we don't get to pay our employees what they're worth. We'd love to pay you more. I would love to pay you more. We have to pay you with what we have. And ultimately, taking away benefits could affect our caliber of employees. I mean, there's a lot of repercussions to all this. So they're going to take the time. review the documents. So maybe when y'all do see the document, the final document, you won't have these concerns, or you'll see, oh, that was nothing. Tom wasn't lying to us. You know, it's general language that kind of governs the code of conduct for the employees and gives us a general idea of our working conditions, which is what the document is supposed to do.
And the other thing too, just as a reminder to all of the elected officials, once the proposed budget is done, I send everyone, every elected official an email that says, these are the proposed changes that are going to be proposed, and you are more than welcome to come to the budget hearing. That would be the time that if an employee or elected official wants to approach the court to say, we noticed these changes in the proposed budget and these are our concerns. That would be when, but for transparency purposes, every elected official is made aware of what proposed changes we are making in the budget.
We got more
And if you're
people
not,
here-
I'm just a phone call away, so.
We got more people here this afternoon than we had at the budget hearing.
Absolutely. I mean, y'all missed the boat. Y'all should have came in September. But yeah.
And we'd have some new folks, some new blood here, no disrespect to Commissioner File or Judge
Are you trying to
Jackson.
say I'm old or what?
I'm not trying to say that. But we are going to have, my opinion on our new electeds is these are things that we want to include them in, our new county judge too.
See, they're trying to throw
They
us
might
out.
have an entirely different perspective on it. So we're not rushing into anything. That's partly what my opinion was today, that I've been babbling on about it for 30 minutes. Let's not rush into it. I want to look at some things some more. But a lot of the fears I heard from employees, I think those are, in legal terms, those are not ripe at this time. Okay?
Okay, for a no action item, this took a while.
When you get the lawyer involved.
But I do commend the committee because they did a lot of work to rewrite an 85-page document that took many hours, I'm sure. I'm glad I was part of it, so good job.
And a big part of the, what you could term as changes will require statutory updates related to different laws that have been passed over the last few years to incorporate some of the new federal requirements, and mainly to incorporate the new federal requirements.
Okay. Anything else?
Will we be having a meeting then on Monday or not?
Sounds like no.
Well, we
Because
can
the
cancel the
committee,
meeting.
yeah, well, if you just, you haven't posted it yet, right?
No,
So,
we have not
yeah, so
posted
she
And you're not
won't
gonna
post it.
upset me.
So when we get done, I'm gonna go down and I will copy Mr. Paulwell and Mr. Vino. And if you have any questions or comments, if you don't feel comfortable sending them to anyone that's on the committee, send them to Mr. Caldwell. Is that all
Okay.
right, sir?
Do we need to
Yeah, sure,
officially add
absolutely.
them?
Anybody can always email me.
Agenda.
Not giving you my cell phone though.
If the committee is gonna be okay with the county attorney and the county auditor meeting with them, we won't do any action as far as putting them on the committee.
I mean, they're just gonna be invited to
Yeah.
attend the meeting.
And anyway, all the committee
We're not
action
on the
is
committee.
taken through commissioner's court. It's not taken in the committee. The committee makes the recommendations and the commissioner's court is the one that okay's. Okay, now 3:38, we're adjourned. Gone.